Hi, I'm Neil, and I'm currently living in Taipei, Taiwan.
Hi, I'm Simon De La Riviere, and I currently live in Stellenbosch, South Africa.
We are twins, and we like to discuss tech topics. We each episode we discuss two topics. I choose one, Simon chooses one, but we keep the topics hidden until we film the show.
And this is Twin Tech Talk.
I like it. Cool. So my question, okay? Let me just get my document open here. I don't know if you've heard of the series, the new series that's out on Netflix called House of Cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
I want to
for
watch
people
it.
that don't know, House of Cards is a new TV series on Netflix, only on Netflix. It's got Kevin Spacey in it, and it's directed by David Fincher, who directed The Social Network, Fight Club, Seven, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So it's pretty notable people for a TV series. But the thing about House of Cards, I started what.
But to add is it was entirely produced by Netflix, so it wasn't produced by someone else.
By Netflix for Netflix.
They paid for the production and content producing and everything. So just okay.
Yes. Yeah. So, but it's only on Netflix. You can't find it. Well, besides torrenting, but you can't. It's not for TV. It's by Netflix for Netflix. Okay. Now, my question is, and I'll talk a little bit more about this. Is basically, is House of Cards setting a new precedent for TV? Okay. Because I've been seeing people talking a lot about it, and that's how I actually got around to watching it, because I read a lot of people talking about it. I'm like, well, what's this? Why is it so unique? Why is everyone talking? Why are tech people talking about a TV show?
Okay.
I don't. So I got around to watching. I've watched the first few episodes, and it's a really good series so far. I really enjoy it. It's besides it actually being a pretty good. The reviews for the show is really good, but now there are some points that people mentioned that I want to that sort of just address in terms of it's setting a new precedent for TV, and certain points that people say it's different. Okay, well, the one is, for instance, they call it, because the series was released on Netflix in one go.
Yeah, it was all episodes.
I think it's 12 or 13 episodes. There we go. There we go. That's everything there, right? And that is obviously not the same as TV. You have to wait every week to watch the show. Maybe then there's season breaks sometimes, etc. So that is something that people say is different, but and some people even say like it's they call it binge watching, right?
So fuck off for
everything
the
is there.
You binge watch the whole shit,
and you watch everything. Okay. But I don't feel that's something new. I don't feel that's completely something new.
You can buy DVDs,
like yes, and especially for us, we don't live in America where we get to see all the shows straight on the TV every week. We have to download them, and sometimes you go, okay, well, I haven't seen this series before. Let me download. Like that's what I did with stuff with my girlfriend. We download Game of Thrones and watch it all in one weekend. So that binge watching, that's not really something new. And for me, actually, the funny thing is, because people are talking about the whole binging thing, is because people don't know how to talk to other people about the show. They feel it's redefining the way spoilers are defined, because you can go, oh, have you watched House of Cards before? Yeah. Where are you? Well, I can't really say. We can't really talk about where you are in the show unless you watch the show, because you might give away something.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of like, oh, that's so whatever.
That's an interesting point.
I get it, but yeah, but it's still people do binge watching in any case. You just have to err on caution, not talking about the show. It's not,
okay, true.
I get the idea of people. I've never really partook in this, but a lot of people sometimes, when they watch it per week basis on normal TV shows, they go, and then people discuss the show. It's interesting, awesome. Okay, cool. Can't wait for the next episode, then discuss it again. But I've never really done that, so I don't feel it's something.
Okay.
Okay. Now the other thing is, other point that on that point in terms of binge watching, no, that's not really something new. The second point is it going straight to online first. It doesn't go to TV, and I feel that is something that might be that's going to happen a lot more, especially with high quality produced shows. Obviously, there you've got your web series, but they've never really been seen in the same
As
light
TV
as
quality, like
besides like Doctor Horrible's like Doctor Horrible's sing along blog. That was a good example of a good
web series.
web series, but it's never really been on par in that sense. So that I feel is like a good TV quality, high quality thing going straight to online.
Yeah.
Like no TV, screw TV, right? And it brings us the question: can you even call this a TV series anymore? It's not television. It doesn't go on TV. Like what do you call it?
Just a series.
A program series, a series.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting. But now here's the thing that I really feel. Okay, that straight to online is pretty cool, and I think will happen anymore. But it's not changing how we consume TV, right? The TV might as well be connected to the internet.
Exactly. So it's still the content form is still the same, right? Basically.
Yes, but here's the one thing which I feel is something that now Netflix, when they created the House of Cards, they didn't create it. Someone else made. What happened is someone else came up. Wait, let me just read the Wikipedia to get the things. And it's another studio created the pilot and some of the things or the idea because it's based on a British version, right? Mm-hmm. And then what they did is they went to TV networks to try and get the show aired, right? To get money for it, to actually produce it. And Netflix outbid HBO, AMC, and all the other big stuff. No, but the one reason why Netflix outbid them for the series of House of Cards is because they actually looked at their data to see that David Fincher and Kevin Spacey is very good among their watching trends. Yeah. That connection between Kevin Spacey and David Fincher is something that will probably be successful because people will like watching those shows together. Exactly. And that idea of a data-driven approach to content decisions is something that will be. That's the thing. That's the precedent it's setting.
Yeah, I also read that what they did was they also went through all the data they're collecting about people using Netflix and watching shows. Is what they did was they checked scenes where people replayed the scenes, right? So they went through all the Netflix shows, watched and whatever, and they checked what scenes were actually popular, what scenes did people go back and check again, right? Which meant that scenes were popular, and then they tried to use that in a new way again in the House of Cards, and that's unprecedented. That's unprecedented.
Yes, that's the one big thing that I feel is changing what House of Cards is changing because not only can Netflix now also, like, when people are watching it, like House of Cards or any kind of like series, what they can see is like they can track when you pause and when you do all those kinds of things. But like you said, they can start creating shows based on this big data that they have and basically make the perfect shows.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I'm sure if they even want to record people laughing, then they can figure out how to make the funniest comedy of all time because they figure out where people are laughing and then just create a movie where all the stuff are like. Do you understand what I mean?
In a way, the cases where you know it's sort of a funny scene, and then moment where you have to just pause the show to like breathe again. I mean, that's data that they can use.
Exactly. So I think. I mean. I think we're both sort of talking on the topic at the same time, but when I talk about is House of Cards setting a new precedent for TV, I feel it's not necessarily the thing about binge watching. No, not really. That's not something new. Straight to online first. Something as high quality as that, yes, that is something that doesn't happen very often. But I feel the big thing is the data-driven approach, because that's why Netflix outbid the people, is because they saw David Fincher and Kevin Spacey together will probably be a very big success. Yeah. And that's why they said, okay, we are going to get the show and we will just make it for Netflix. And that, I feel, is something scary and awesome at the same time.
Yeah. No, true.
So,
I think something that might not have entirely touched on is obviously it's a change in distribution, right? Because usually shows were either produced and then went to cable, and then sometimes through partnerships, it could be available online immediately, say through Netflix, or eventually available online somewhere, right? So there's two things.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing is the distribution model. Another thing is something else I want to talk about. The distribution model. I don't see it killing cable shows or killing cable television, because there's still the subscription-based model. Netflix is a subscription-based model also, right? So I mean, I understand the whole idea of people saying, like, why didn't they just release Game of Thrones when it was the whole topic of piracy and everything? Why didn't they just release it as immediately available? That whole argument. But my counter argument to that is always, or what I've heard people use counter argument, which I agree with, is that these cable channels, right, they can only produce these kind of high quality shows because they have subscription based models, right? Because they have this guaranteed influx of money that they know they can spend upwards of a few $1 million to produce these shows, right? If they had to go from TV show to TV show to produce content, they would not have taken as big risks as they did with Game of Thrones, right? And the same is actually with Netflix, right? Netflix has a subscriber model. They have a continuation of money that's gonna come in, so they can afford to take risks as well, right? So I don't necessarily think the distribution model is gonna change the way TV is gonna be in the next few years at least, but it's definitely a new precedent in that way. But the other interesting thing,
but
just continue. Yeah, you can.
No, I just want to say, like, to be honest, I can't remember when last I've watched a show on a real TV. Like, if I have to watch a show, then I download it and watch it on my computer, or then I plug my computer into the TV. Like, I mean, like, sort of in the real time sense of this is now on the TV, it's aired for the first time. I can't remember when last I watched a show like that. It was probably small back in the day, and that was probably like a rerun of the American. It was after the American version. So like in that sense, TV for me is not outdated, but I've never used TV in that way in a long time.
I agree to that extent. It's people like to watch content and consume it in their own time, right? But and this is now interesting, and it sort of ties into maybe some other news. Is when Twitter bought the TV analytics, social analytics company, right?
Yes.
There is a certain awesomeness or great experience when people watch TV together and they have the second screen. They have the second screen where they watch the Twitter feeds and converse about the episode, right? But I don't think it might be. I don't think, and that's obviously going to be missing with this Netflix way of doing it, right? That sort of thing will disappear. You won't have where after each episode, when Game of Thrones was each week Game of Thrones went out, people talked about it. Like I remember, for example, people on Twitter were talking about it the whole time. I remember going onto the subreddit and seeing the discussions about it, and that was part of the show for me. Was let's go see what people are saying about it. That was so awesome, right? And that's what's going to disappear when you get content immediately, right? And it's sort of and I think perhaps that's what cable channels can go into, is that's what they can provide that internet TV or internet series can't provide.
But there's an interesting analogy that the CEO, I've got this article open and I'm just going to quote that he talked about comparing like TV and sort of like the instant everything. He says, which is like sort of just a really interesting way of thinking about it. Now, here's the quote. Imagine if books were always released one chapter per week and were only briefly available to read at 8 p.m. on Thursday. And then someone flipped the switch, suddenly allowing people to enjoy an entire book all at their own pace. That is the change we are bringing about. That is the future of television. That is internet TV. Okay, so that's the quote from the Netflix CEO. Okay, now that's obviously an interesting way of thinking about it, right?
Yeah,
and but the thing is, I feel okay. I understand that. Oh, okay, use the book analogy, but I feel it's not 100% there because TV is supposed to be different. It's not supposed to be like a book. But what I've read about people saying about House of Cards is it's not necessarily a TV show. It might be cut up into 12 episodes, but it actually feels like a big movie.
Yeah.
And that sort of perception might be something that will also change. Is if you have everything instantly there, you're not watching necessarily chapters of a show. You're watching one show cut up into
I
consumable.
haven't watched House of Cards, but the episode length is not fixed, right? It's different episode lengths. I don't know. That's something I read as well.
Yeah.
So
It's not
because
but it's not like a big drastic.
I wonder if there's going to be new forms of film that's going to be produced because there's no constraint in terms of you have this time slot and you have to fit this in and there has to be ads between these things.
Exactly.
It's not a movie where people have to sit an hour and a half in a cinema. There's no restriction now on how long the content has to be and how it has to be presented.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting.
But see, that's
it could be
that's
like the difference between 20-minute series and 40 to 50-minute series, right? But now that was there for a reason because it was in these time slots on TV, right? It's interesting. It's going to be interesting. I wonder if it might be like,
but that's
like like the traditional miniseries that they had which was sort of longer but sort of movie-like.
Yeah.
Going to become more popular.
That's the thing, and I think on internet TV, if you want to use that term, can experiment with these new formats, and which will be interesting. And I think that's the cool thing about it. And like I said, using the term TV sounds kind of wrong in this regard, But it's like internet TV. Why don't you just call it like internet programs or something? Because TV is a different approach. But anyway, that's just semantics.
Yeah. No, definitely. Awesome discussion. I think it's to answer your question. I think it is setting a new precedent.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. And try and watch it. It's pretty good. It's there are some other things about the show that's pretty interesting.
I like Kevin Spacey, so that's why I want to watch it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I heard of David Fincher, but I never really knew he did all those other awesome movies as well.
Okay.
So it's a good series so far. So check it. Pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Cool.
See you next time.
Cool. Good chat.
Cheers.
Yes. Awesome. Cheers.